Hey there. You might be wondering how partners can build that real, reoccurring revenue from AI and Microsoft Copilot. Well, today in Technically Unraveled, we are going to talk about a few things that are going to cover that, such as how can MSPs use AI in real, actual, practical ways. We're going to talk about building and managing AI for your customers. And of course, we've got to talk about cybersecurity and data governance services. Stick around, you're not going to want to miss out. Hey, everybody. I'm Kristen Fehrenbach, the Senior Director of Microsoft Go-to-Market here at Pax8. Thank you so much for joining Technically Unraveled. I'm super excited. In this show, we talk about everything from AI, modern work, Azure, BizApp, cybersecurity, the whole thing with Microsoft. But I want to make sure that you guys know it's not just Technically Unraveled that our wonderful team at Pax8 Studios produces. We've got the game. We have Academy Live as well. So please make sure that you go follow the Pax8 YouTube channel. These great creators put out so much great content for the partner community. I don't want you to miss out on that. So this week, I'm very excited. We got a first-time guest with us. We have Chance Weaver. So let's bring him on in today. All right, Chance, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for just taking the time today. But if you wouldn't just do me the honor, introduce yourself, tell us what you do here at Pax8. And Chance, it's a Pax8 tradition, and I love it. If you could tell me a fun or weird fact, either one.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. So, Chance Weaver, I'm the VP of AI Adoption at Pax8, and I'm relatively new at Pax8. I've only been here for a few months. I actually come from the partner community. I've lived the entire MSP journey. I built an MSP out of Southern California. I sold that business to New Charter Technologies in 2021. And so then I had the opportunity to work in a large platform MSP where I ran the Microsoft practice and AI strategy. And I had a great time. I loved the business. I loved the people. I actually miss my MSP quite a bit. And when I transitioned out of that and back in December, I made a decision that I was going to retire at a certain time in my life. And I did. I was going to paddleboard and e-foil for the rest of my life. And didn't quite work out that way. I lasted 5 months, and which leads me to kind of my fun fact. I live in Mexico mostly, and about an hour south of San Diego. When my youngest went away to high school, my wife and I moved down there. And one of the reasons that led me to make the choice to go back to work when the opportunity presented itself was my wife decided to open a restaurant. So I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor, and I invested in that restaurant. And my wife, she runs it and had never opened a restaurant. It's incredibly successful. It's on the ocean front. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's called Palenque. It's in Rosarito. If anyone wants to check it out, palenqueoceanfront.com. But it's an amazing place. And so, yeah, I own a restaurant in Mexico. That's my fun fact.
I didn't even know that, Chance. I grew up working in restaurants. That's so fun. Well, I'm going to check that out later. I'll put that on my to-do list. But I have a limited amount of time with you, and I've been so excited to get you on the show to talk about all things AI, especially with your background. So I will say a lot of partners, they wonder if AI is more hype than it is actually reality. But I will say Nicole Dezen did launch a blog today, which we are super excited about. And in this blog, which we will link down below, she discusses different ways that Microsoft and some select partners are going to be bringing agentic solutions to not only partners, but to customers as well. So I'm really excited about the Pax8 Microsoft overall collaboration and how do we bring agentic solutions to the forefront. But Chance, given your background, I think you know what partners are asking right now, and it's revenue. Like, where is the real opportunity for partners to drive revenue? So I want to hand it over to you and get your initial thoughts here.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So, first, the hype versus the reality. I would say it's both. Right now there is a lot of hype behind AI. I mean, recent articles that have come out saying 95% of AI initiatives are not seeing any ROI. And there is some truth in that. And part of the reason behind that is I think that the AI solutions aren't being approached well. You shouldn't be implementing AI for AI. You should be implementing AI for a business outcome, a measurable business outcome, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. Around the Microsoft blog, really excited about that. I've been aware of that coming for a little while now. I lived and breathed Microsoft for quite a while, so I understand the ecosystem and I understand the value of that. So Microsoft is going to connect their agent marketplace to Pax8's agent store that Scott talked about at Beyond Denver and now Beyond Amsterdam. There's some additional announcements that are coming out that are incredibly exciting. But there's more to come on that. But the ability to monetize those solutions through Pax8 and be able to aggregate all of your spend, not just for cloud solutions, but also for agentic solutions, it's pretty exciting.
You know, I think people have to take that first step, right? And in Microsoft, which I think it's very clear by this point in the show already that you and I are still pretty entrenched in. And Copilot Chat's free. It's built into all these different SKUs. And we're really looking to make sure that people are using it, right? And they're activating it. But I think it being free, it's also going to make our partners wonder, like, okay, well, the first step is actually getting some productivity out of it, but like, where does the revenue come in some sort of free SKU?
Yeah, I love that. So there's multiple layers to this. So you think about Copilot Chat and it's free, but Copilot Chat is a really easy entry point to getting your customers, using basically data safe AI. That so they can, unlike regular M365 Copilot, it's not searching your entire data estate from a Microsoft perspective, but you can open it inside a document or inside a PowerPoint, or you can upload files, and those files or the ones that you're working in are still protected within your customer tenant. So it's a secure way for your customers to get integrated and get used to using AI today. And then how do you make money off of it? Well, obviously, it will definitely lead to a M365 Copilot, but there's multiple ways to get there. Obviously, it depends on the customer and what vertical they're in and what kind of use they're looking to get out of that Copilot. But you can build agents. You can still build agents with the free Copilot Chat, and those are consumption agents. And so you can limit the amount of consumption so your customers don't get dinged too much, and you can measure it. If they start using it heavily, you can measure that price point where it makes sense to move to M365 Copilot. So there's a way to make money there, but then the services around building that agent. And I think there's some questions coming up, but there's some things I want to dive into about how you monetize an agent and how you monetize the services around the agent that I'm really excited to get into. And it ties into this Copilot Chat conversation.
Well, the Matt Lee and Dom Kirby people that I have that sit on my shoulders always tell me secretly that I have to start anything with AI with data governance. And I mean, I know that Pax8 and ProServe, we've got just an incredible ProServe team just around the world that are ready to support our partners. But can you tell me why data security is really critical in the era of AI that we are facing today?
Well, I mean, it depends a lot on the customer, what kind of IP they have, and where their critical data resides. And sometimes the customer has no idea. And it's important to get that into a place that's secure, and then you understand who has permission to it, and that's managed. So when there's changes in the organization or changes to the data, or someone tries to put data in a place it's not supposed to be, you have the ability to track that. And that's where the security really comes in around, Copilot or M365 Copilot and just AI in general, being able to protect that data. Now it's kind of interesting. There's multiple ways to do it, but what I like to say is, a lot of MSPs are going in saying, hey, let's manage all of your data, let's get all of your data ready for AI. And that sometimes that can be really expensive for an SMB to do. They can have a complex data estate. But if you go into the customer and you have the right conversations, and you start consulting with them, and this is what the Academy Results Selling Framework is all about here at Pax8. But going in, talking about what the pain points are in their business, what are the inefficiencies, and we're providing you a way. Pax8 is going to provide you a way of how to have those discovery conversations, who to talk to in the organization, and based on the answers, what potential technology and AI solutions fit into that. And once you do that, then you can have the conversation with the customer. Okay, we found the problem. What does that mean to you if we fix that? What's the measurable outcome from a dollars and cents perspective? And then you can start unpacking that as far as, okay, we can build an agent, and then this is how much we can charge for the agent because we're saving the customer this much money on an annual basis, and you can monetize that over time and get actual reoccurring revenue that's highly profitable. And there's some MSPs out there that are doing that already. A lot of ERP companies are already doing things agentic and they're billing for it that way. Or if it's a small, easy to do agent, you can just rent an agent. You know what I mean? Where you charging them a fee to manage it and keep those connections updated and make sure that it remains secure. So there's security on the data estate side of it, and then there's security also through the agent side of it. But if you're building out that agent, you don't have to worry about the entire data estate, just the data that relates to that particular business process that you're trying to solve for. And that's a much smaller chunk for your customer to bite off. And so there's opportunities on both sides of that equation to not only save your customers money, but create a highly profitable business out of it.
I have an old friend from when I worked at Microsoft, and his saying was, well, how do you eat an elephant? And one bite at a time. And that is exactly what you're saying, Chances. Like, we can focus on specific areas to get to, 100% security. 100%. Matt's going to kill me. There's never 100% security. We're always going to get better. I already said it. I'm so sorry. But before we're to that excellent state, like, we can really hyper focus in areas. And I love what you said about those ERP partners. And I think our biz apps partners, they're set up for success right out of the gate because they have a lot of that business process. And I love talking about business outcomes, Chance. So when we're looking at agents in particular, what kind of business outcomes do you really see agents driving, specifically in SMB?
Yeah, it's obviously there's a huge opportunity in vertically focused MSPs as they make that journey to become MIPs, because they can create an agent, they understand that vertical, and they can deploy it. They can create complex agents that they can charge a lot for and deploy those across their customer base. So there's an amount of development that goes into that initial agent, but after that, it's just like ka-ching, ka-ching, you're making money. But the MSPs that aren't vertically focused can think about that low-lying fruit, those things that are based around the departments or the things that all businesses deal with. You have sales, you have marketing, you have, are you building a widget, are you providing a service, and what does that look like? And being able to solve for the things in the business that are really, annoying. Like if you walk into a doctor's office and people are filling things out by paper, that shouldn't happen. That's a waste of time. You can build an agent to do that, right? So they basically can chat with an agent, they can talk to an agent, they can call in, they can get all the questions answered. It automatically gets fed into the EMR system, and you're off and running. And that's, I mean, there's just so many opportunities like that for those things that you walk in, you don't even think about, that should be resolved for. And the thing I want to circle back to when we're talking about, when you're going in and mapping out business process and having those consulting conversations, it's not rocket science. You don't have to be Deloitte to be able to go in and do this. And then the thing I would recommend to MSPs is find one thing that you can focus on and solve for, because after that, when you create the agent and you solve for that problem, then it's like a snowball effect. That customer is going to want more. Hey, you solved it. There was a measurable outcome that you solved for. Give me more, help me with these other problems that I'm having.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that having that clear outcome in mind, one, it's going to help you build the agent more effectively. And two, you're not going to fall into that 95% not finding value because you're building it to solve one specific problem and it's scoped appropriately. So I couldn't agree more. And I want to talk a little bit about our academy team because one, they're fantastic and there's so much excitement around these different peer groups that are happening. But look, we got a lot of things happening around here, Chance. So we do these AI peer groups that are run by Academy, but you're also leading something called the AI Innovation Group. Can you just tell me a little bit about the differences here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, coming from the partner side, I'm looking at this opportunity from how an MSP would look for. I want reoccurring revenue. I want something that I can do. Walk me through the process, show me how to do it, and then I can kind of start rolling with this. So what I've done is I've interviewed a ton of Pax8 partners, and I'm looking for those partners that are already selling something agentic to their customers. They're already monetizing it, and maybe it's landing well, maybe it isn't landing well, but they've already taken the leap, and then they have dedicated internal resources towards an intelligence practice. And we've already, I've interviewed probably 400 partners, and there's only like 14 that I think actually fit into that room. So it's not like there's a lot of MSPs that are doing it yet, but we are finding some dynamics partners that we're inviting that are doing it as well. So we're trying to get a mix and match and really build on that information that we're gleaning from them. So I want to bring the power of Pax8 and the vendor resources to that group, really get them moving forward, and then take what's working and build out services through Academy to provide enablement for the rest of our partners.
I like it. And so, man, okay, you've interviewed all these partners. We've only got a certain subset. So, no matter where a partner's at today, they're not so far behind. They just shouldn't worry about it. That's very clear here. And you've gathered this group. And I think this is maybe like a first wave. I'm sure that we will continue on and continue to, measure and learn and teach. But what do you want to learn from these partners, Chance?
Well, I want to learn how they're monetizing it. I want to learn how they're deploying agents. What's the complexity of the agents? Are they vertically focused? Are they something that we can scale across our partner base? Is it something that would be well received? Can we use that to start seeding our agent store and allow other partners to take advantage of it? And then I want to build out services for the partners. We have a lot of partners that they're in the weeds. They don't have time to build out a practice around AI. Heck, they don't even have time to consume the content that we have on how to sell AI. So we're going to build out co-sell resources where we come and sell alongside of you to your customer. We're going to have professional services through our pro services team to build out some basic automation and some low end agentic solutions. And then when you don't have, where it's something that Pax8 can't do for you, we can create those partner to partner engagements and get you engaged with someone who can help you deploy some really incredible solutions into your customers. Meanwhile, we keep moving those innovation groups forward, and we keep bringing the partners that are training a little bit behind. All you have to do is learn how to sell it, or we'll help you sell it. And then we'll provide you the capability to be able to deploy it.
I like it. All right. So now I'm sure we're going to have a partner. They're going to be watching this. They're like, hey, I wasn't in this 400 group. I didn't get a chance to be in this. So, is there a pathway in the future for maybe additional partners and maybe a second wave, or what are you thinking about for the future?
There is, I want more partners in that group. I think the more that we get into that group, the more value that group will provide not only each other, but we'll get vendors more excited to be able to come and provide solutions and opportunities to that group. And then obviously, that partner to partner engagement, there's some work and some revenue that can come through that. So absolutely, if you want to get involved in that group, if you think that you have you have dedicated internal resources for intelligence, you're selling something agentic to your customers today, I would love to talk to you.
Excellent. And so you're talking to all these people, you're at some of these shows, you've been at Beyond, all of this. So, what are some common themes that you're hearing from our partners? Like, what are they asking about when it comes to AI?
Yeah, it's every I feel like most of our partners that they feel like they need to do something, but they don't know what to do. And yeah, this is where I think Pax8 can really help. I think we're providing a framework of what you can do now, even if you don't have the resources to build out any intelligent solutions for your customers. A lot of partners are saying, "Hey, we're trying to transform internally, and once we figure it out, we'll start talking to our customers." Well, I'm also hearing that customers aren't waiting. So if you're not having those conversations, the customers are going out and looking for their own AI solutions from somewhere else. So you have a potential of losing business or someone else jumping into the mix, and security issues, all kinds of things. So we want to get you in front of your customers now, today. You can transform internally, but it doesn't have to be one before the other. You can do it at the same time. Get in front of your customers today, have those conversations, become the expert and know how to lead, and then we'll help you deploy it when you find the opportunities.
Excellent. And I mean, I've got to take this moment because recently Microsoft has launched some new SKUs that are add-ons to Business Premium, and we're looking for that. We for so long our SMB partners are like, man, E5, the price just is a little too steep. But Chance, I think these new add-ons that go on to Business Premium, we've got a little bit of parity now. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? I think this goes into how are partners making money, but I'm pretty excited about it. I think these are definitely some SKUs that our partners are going to get some true value out of.
We've been asking for it for years, right? And from what I hear, Pax8's been involved heavily in that argument to Microsoft on why this is needed. I mean, the ability to now attach licensing that you could only, Purview and some of the data security solutions, and you used to only be able to attach that to an E5 license. Now you can attach it to Business Premium at a cost that makes sense for SMB. So very exciting, and some of the ability to do tagging and auto tagging, and that bringing that capability down to the SMB level solves a lot of problems from a data security standpoint. And again, when you're talking about solutions and building out maybe a specific SharePoint library where you tag that information and you add some purview licensing to specific users for a specific business process that you're building an agent for, it's a lot less expensive than trying to do it for the entire data estate. So there's a lot of things to think about on ways you can start doing this in bite-sized chunks for your customers, but you got to move. You got to start doing something now.
100% agree. Now, I want to talk about the MIP journey, managed intelligence providers, and how MSPs are really having to evolve because this can sound a little intimidating. And I don't think that there's maybe the easiest way. I think that there's a journey that everybody's kind of got to go down, and we're going to have to learn about this together. But if you're going to boil this down to the simple version, how does this help partners grow their AI maturity?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bunch of different types of companies that are going to be on this MIP journey. I mean, there's ERP companies that are already having the business process conversations with their customers. There's greenfield MIPs. These are companies that started with AI. They started a company building agents, and they're selling those agents directly to customers. There's so many different people that, or different types of companies that fall into that category. But from the perspective of the MSP to MIP journey, you know, I don't believe anything that the MSP today is going to become irrelevant. I think you're still going to need that, but I also think that agents are going to start taking over some of that. So you need to learn how to manage and monetize agents, just like you had to manage and monetize, endpoints back in the day, and convert to managed services. So that opportunity is huge. Now, we've created an MIP blueprint, and the idea behind this is there's two different types of MIP. There's an MIP broker, which is an MIP who goes through the sales training process and they understand how to sell AI. Okay, they don't have the resources to build it. Maybe they develop the resources internally on how to deploy agents into their customers, or maybe they rely on Pax8 or another partner to do that for them. But they're really good at selling it and having the conversations with their customers. So they're experts. They can manage the agents. They can have the conversations with their customers, and then they bring in partners or Pax8 to come and deliver on those solutions. And then you have the builders. These are the companies that have some scale and capability to build out their own internal intelligence resources, to build out agents for their customers, and also resell those through the agent store that Pax8's building to other partners to consume. So other partners don't have to go out and build their own agents. So with the broker concept, the MIP broker concept, you can become a managed intelligence provider today. You can sign up for AI guided growth. You can sign up for the Academy result selling framework courses, and you can have those conversations with your customers today, and then start getting involved in our MSP to MIP journey program that we're building out, where you'll be able to actually tie into some of those resources to help you deploy.
I I'm so excited for this journey because I think you broke it down beautifully. And I think it can be so overwhelming for some partners. They're like, oh my God, do you want me to go and learn how to build this agent, find a solution, do this business process? Like all of a sudden now I'm standing in front of a mountain, right? But if you're an MIP broker, you're just finding an agentic solution. And that could be a vendor solution. I mean, Copilot would be an agentic solution. Like there's already these agentic solutions that are available by different vendors. It doesn't have to be an agent per se, but I think overall, like it's really for Pax8 to help and uncover some of those opportunities for these partners to say, hey, in SMB, we're seeing that this is working really well. So do you think that in the very beginning, we're going to see a lot more of those brokers? And then in time, they're going to be like, hey, wait, that mountain's not nearly as tall now. Now I'm ready to start building?
I do. I think out of the gate, we're going to see a lot of MIP brokers. We do have some of those companies that have the scaling capability, but I think this is going to, partners are sitting on a gold mine they don't even realize right now. Whether you decide to be a broker or a builder, or you're going to take the journey and start at one and end at the other, they're sitting on a gold mine. There's so much opportunity inside of your existing customer base. And then once you start having those conversations and understanding your customer's business more than you do today, it's going to make you more sticky. And when you're building agents and solving real world problems that have an impact to the bottom line for your customers, well, it changes the conversation of what MSP is today. And that's why you transition into that managed intelligence provider.
So Chance, I love elevator pitches. So if I tell you I'm an MSP and I'm looking to start the journey, how am I going to convince somebody to get started today? Like what's on the other side? Like why should these partners start looking this direction today?
I love this question. Because I talk to partners out there and they're like, this is just a fad. This is going to go away. It's not going to go away. You know what I mean? I think there's some major concerns that have to be worked out before there's security issues like MCP is not a ratified, it's not ratified, and there are security issues there. There's a lot of things that have to be worked out, but this is moving so fast, and the power and capability behind it is unlike anything that we've ever seen. The adoption is crazy. So if you're not thinking about this now, if you're not doing this now, your customer is going to talk to someone who is. This is way worse than cloud. Even when COVID hit, when everyone had to move to the cloud, this is moving faster than that. Customers want it now. Like they're hearing about it. They see their competition, integrating into their business, and they want to understand. They desperately want to understand what it means for their business. And so the opportunity is huge. If you're not going to take the leap, your competitors are, or your customers are going to go to some of those greenfield MIPs that don't even care about security. They're just trying to sell an agent into your customer environment, and they're going to break everything. You need to get moving on this now.
I love it. Chance, I want to say a big thank you for your time today. I think you've given us some really easy places to start, but any final words of wisdom to leave us with today?
I mean, right now we have AI guided growth through Pax8. If you go into the marketplace, definitely take a look at that. It's evolving. We're coming up with persona based content and content that help guide you along that journey. But it's great content now, and it touches on that sales conversation. If you want more in depth, check out Academy. Academy has great vendor content. We have great Microsoft Copilot content, and we have an absolutely amazing result selling framework. And get involved with coaching and peer groups. We have some AI peer groups that aren't the AI innovation group that you can start talking. You can start talking to other partners that are dipping their toe in and trying to figure it out and start working together. So there's just so much opportunity and so many things that Pax8 can bring. Being a partner and now being on this side of the curtain, the power of Pax8 it's impressive.
I love it. Chance, we're definitely going to have you back, but thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. All right. It's not a technically unraveled without a Copilot tip of the week. Check it out.
You built the perfect AI agent. Great. But how do you know it won't go rogue and start emailing your mom? Enter protection status. Your suit of armor minus the metal. Hey, I'm Willis, and this week's Copilot tip of the week is all about getting instant clarity on your agent security. No drama, no digging. What is protection status? On the agents page in Copilot Studio, there's a column called protection status. And just like a health check, it shows you exactly what's going on. Here's the breakdown. Protected. Everything's locked down and good to go. Needs review. Something's not quite right. Time to check the settings. Unknown. We don't have the data, which means you don't have the confidence. Instant insight. You shouldn't have to guess if your AI is safe. One glance gives you the answer. Protection status keeps you focused on what matters, knowing where to act and when to move forward. And that's your Copilot tip of the week. Catch you next time.
Well, thank you so much, Willis, for our Copilot tip of the week. And Chance, a big thank you for joining our show today, talking about all things AI. And I super look forward to having you back on the show. Now, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe because you don't want to miss out. This next time, I am going to talk to our friends over at True North. We're going to talk about dynamics. Why do partners avoid dynamics? And what does this mean for the SMB? Make sure to check it out, and we'll see you there. Thanks, everybody.